Radio crackle. The sound is adjusted and the voice of a woman is heard.
I know of nothing more humiliating than the beginning of a girl's child's existence. The sniggering of uncles, the resignation of aunts pointing to a future of biological landscapes. At 15, the alternative presented themselves. Fight, submit, or go mad. I made a compromise, a dance contracted between these three that would keep me occupied for the next 20 years. Well, until history turned up a better card, or I was certified insane. When I was 5 years old, I asked myself, why does my uncle have his rice pudding served to him in his big leather chair? His burly weight leaned on my life like a rape. Had I seen something that revealed a twisted factor in my own nature? Or something common to the world of women? I could never choose to sacrifice or submit because it was incarnate in my being. I could never be illuminated into a self-realization because I was imprisoned in this shadowy world of changelings, children and slaves, caught in a static dimension. We have no language. The words of women have yet to be written. Women's use of speech amounts to assenting silence or an unheard shriek. Centuries of oppression have made us the cowards and defeatists. And any woman who continues to capitulate, any woman who makes it in a man's world will be guilty. Is from now on guilty of complicity and collaboration in the perpetuation of the worldwide age-old female ghetto. Can anyone believe that the story of women's oppression was born of my private pathological fantasy? Until very recently, the black man was imprisoned in his neurosis. And it was only when this neurosis was investigated and found to be repeated in the existence of every member of the black society that the individual was metamorphosed into a vital political force. You're an undeveloped country, passive, submissive, raped by white colonialism. What language will we use to describe the oppressed if the woman no longer embodies the masochistic role? We must destroy the language. Bird-brained, tender, intuitive, garrulous, unreliable, disloyal and weak. We must destroy the language. Ha! Who are they? These illogical rulers of the kitchen, gossiping, dirty, incomplete, moon-crazed tempestuses, frigid, earth-shackled, competitive mermaids, empty, reflective angels of mercy. Dolls, cats, hens, whores, slags, bitches, soulless mirrors and trembling virgins. We must destroy the language. These monstrous mother goddesses, these evil arms and the devouring breasts. These washers of dirty linen who long to be dominated and suppressed. Our capacity to think, except in the service of that which we are dangerously deluded into supposing is our own self-interest, is desperately limited and shrouded in veils of mystification. My dear lady, they say, there is nothing accurate in what you have observed. It's all in your poor, tormented psyche. Come with me to our nice, expanding mental hospitals, where we'll teach you once again that it's not history, but your head. We must destroy the language. Submissive means ill, and feminine means submissive. Before my curious eye could light upon this world, I was aware of this hump upon my back. I've examined the hump, and that has held up my journey. But while I was deciphering the hump, it seemed to me that the pieces contained the story of this world. We must bring together the political and the psychological. Radical action must be liberate the whole being.
The man kicks the speaker. The voice distorts.
Subculture of man.
The man kicks the speaker again. It is silent.
Bloody lesbians. Bloody dykes. What they need is a good fuck.
Lights up on musical group, seated front right of the stage. Piano, organ, guitar, drums. A young female singer, thin, witch-like, with a wailing reed-like voice, dressed in mythological costume.
The Furies, people of the streets, those who live faceless, exposed to violence, the homeless who haunt the wastelands of the world, telling us of our lost lives.
Furies dancing as animated puppets, each one miming an individual doll, a nightmare nursery, illuminated by shafts of moonlight.
Group begin the song, Dear Mary Grant.
Dear Mary Grant.
Dear Mary Grant, I'm very blue.
My boyfriend's gone away. What shall I do?
I told my friend and she agrees.
It isn't worth the tears I shed. It isn't worth the blinding pain. I should use my brain.
But Mary Grant, I try and try.
My brain isn't working. I think I'll die. He's such a lovely boy and very smart.
Do you think I'm wrong?
Do you think I'm wrong, dear Mary Grant?
Dear Mary Grant.
To break my heart? Signed, Blue Eyes.
Women enjoy being dominated sexually.
Women enjoy being dominated sexually.
Women enjoy being humiliated.
Women enjoy being humiliated.
The natural role for a woman is the submissive one.
Sound of wind, sun and space. Furies gather into group as medieval worshippers for sunrising. Projections on the back of the theatre of universe galaxy, nebulae, the cosmos exploding stars.
The window is arranged so that a hole leads to the sun. The chimney pots are outside, in my room, just the other side of the underneath. I must keep my distance, or the distance between us. We are spatially related, but the fusion is not possible. We come together, but are not one of the same. I am inviting you, pot, into my room with my eye. They have defined us clearly. You are a cracked pot. And I'm a crackpot. The difference is marginal, but enough to keep us apart.
The sound of ambulance sirens wailing.
Women enjoy being dominated.
Who are those figures in white? Are they the angels of light?
Or are they spiders on the wall, about to fall on me?
Is that a table or a chair? Is it there?
Or are they atoms whirling round in space? Is that a kindly face?
You see, women enjoy being dominated and humiliated. They enjoy being humiliated.
Who are those figures in white? Are they angels of the light? Or are they spiders on this ceiling ready to fall on me? Is that a table? Or a chair? Is it there? Or are they tiny atoms whirling around in space? That kindly face. Out of the days. Out of the memory tracing. How much time has been lost? Light stars have been flashing their messages across the skies, and I've been left with an amoeba. It has taken a very long time for me to drag my amorphous, slug-like body out of the mud. And during the time here, I've been unconscious, liver drowsy. And I've felt this vaguely unsettling feeling above my head, as though voices have been arguing my chances of awakening.
Do you believe in penis envy?
Are you one of the great mass of women exploited as cheap labour?
Does your sense of status or pride come from the man you live with rather than your own projects?
Do you think there's a natural role for a woman?
Do you think motherhood is a mystical experience?
Can women be other than isolated and trapped within the structure of the family?
Are you frightened of male ridicule and derision?
Would you define submitting to the will of others as illness?
Now, where were we? We cannot have muddles. Ah, yes. A clear line for the universe is essential. Now, he who is a cat and wishes to be a dog is in for trouble. And she who tries to wag a tail she does not possess is on a false wicket. The washing up is a greasy business when it loses its mystical overtones. Separated from its cultural meaning, it is nothing but a pile of dirty dishes. Prisons have to be inhabited by someone, otherwise why build them? If the basket tries to walk away, where will the dog lie down?
He who feels his feet are planted firmly on the ground must surely know the ground is going round and round.
He who feels he's really sound of mind must surely know we're blind. The birds are singing in a thing we call a sky above our heads, with which we think.
A camera is a working in a thing we call an eye. Where water falls, we call it cry. Our hearts are beating, we call it love or fear. We think it's clear.
Take a step outside your skin and begin, we may so easily. A twist in a dark, sharp brain, born of a scream cold as steel that may be real.
And it may become plain
that it's mad to be sane.
And it may become plain that it's mad to be sane. The house is there, and my face is pressed against the window, menopausal, cheated, ridiculous, envious, vindictive.
The woman kneels in the center of the Furies and leads them in prayer.
Hail Mary, full of grace. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
I thought so.
Thy kingdom
If
come.
it's not sex, it's religion. Cross on the door, leper in the pit, splinter in the soul, blood in the cave, order. Ant in the eye, knife in the brain, order. Cross in the heart, ice in the fire.
The man stretches out his hand and takes an imaginary chalice from a male fury. He pretends to piss in it. He raises it up to the audience and drinks the imaginary urine in one gulp.
Blood is the waves, splinter in the soul. There's boil and bubble in my vein, flea and maggot in my brain, panic in my palms, and in my heart, there's hunger. There are wasps and bees buzzing in my skull. With this ring I thee wed, with this body I thee worship. With all my worldly goods I thee endow.
The man thrusts his genitals into the face of the kneeling woman.
Cry and clamour in my ears, and from the corner of my eye I perceive the cup is dry, and the bowl is empty.
There is nothing for my hunger. Where was I at the crisis?
The man stretches out his hand and helps her to her feet. They stand as bride and groom facing the audience.
Down in the cave with the blood-stained sheets.
Where's my history?
Paranoia.
Where was I when the battle was on? Once I had a thought, all of my very own. I held it frightened in the dark, but she perceived it. Her eyes grew red, and she held a hand over my mouth until the thought was dead, and she said, "Until you speak, your bed will be cold, until you're old. You will be born to cheat and to keep your feet neat. Eyes not to see, but to shine. Lips not to reveal, but to taste like wine. Use your fires to burn another." So I was taught by my mother since I was 14.
The man slides an imaginary wedding ring on the woman's finger. The wedding march stops, popping of flashbulbs as the couple pose for photographs.
The group begin the introduction to the song Daddy's Girl.
Daddy's girl!
Daddy's girl, run away.
Run away!
Daddy's Girl?
Daddy's girl, leave your house.
Fix your eye upon a star.
Fix your eyes upon a star.
Before they tell you.
Who you are. And when they sit you down,
When they sit you on their knee,
stroke your thighs and fix your curls. Be aware, my darling, guard your life. That's the game.
That's the game they're going to play.
and in your Christmas stocking.
It's the price you are going to have to pay.
Break your dollies.
Break your dollies, burn their dresses and the house that they live in. The little apron with a hearts on, and the little iron that works like real, and the little plastic tea set. These are the toys that grip like steel.
Are you hostile, insecure, anxious, or just frankly unhappy? Then eat babies. They're younger, softer, and easier to digest. End of commercial break. Is that you? Are you a well, madam? A well where a man can drink?
Well, not a feeding bag, if that's what you mean.
Is your home a place where a lion's wounds can be licked?
Did you say boots?
Ah, I can see you have an aggressive and antagonistic personality. I'm going to come over there and take your knickers down.
Sound of heavy breathing, mixed with the continual sound of dialing, interwoven with pathological obscenities. As this happens, one of the Furies begins to masturbate, and as the man reaches a crescendo of verbal obscenities, the Fury mimes a physical climax.
Help!
May I remind you, madam, that man's potency depends on constant affirmation from his wife.
What about my potency?
Your potency. Your potency. May I remind you, madam, that God is a man.
The group begin music for God is a Man.
God is a man. And that's how things began. Solemnly, with dignity, according to a plan. with logic, not with magic. That's how things began. First the land and then the sea. How could that be done by a she? Yes, God is an absolute, and the absolute is absolutely he.
All things bright and beautiful.
It's me.
I know.
It's me. It's me. It's me. I recognize myself. Look at those eyes, ears, nose, ears set close together, each side of the head, one higher than the other, hands curled inwards. I could never get my fingers to unfurl, not totally.
Oh,
Me.
oh. It's me. I know who I am. I've examined myself carefully. In a bath. Many times. In the mirror.
We all have shaved, seen those clumps of hair clustered together in an undeniable shape, totally our own.
We've all glanced sideways in a shop window and known the shape, known it utterly, as it springs to greet us.
The little finger that stands very slightly away from the others, length and breadth, size and shape, a tuft of hair that stands on end.
Feel of fat and tissue, line and gesture, dimension and proportion.
That certain mistake in the anatomy, the image of ourselves.
Betrayed by the double chin, pigeon toes.
Hump, slump in the shoulders.
The moles that extend themselves.
The ingrained lines of the palm.
The position of the thumbs.
Constriction of the jaw.
The curve of the base of the spine.
And finally, emerging from the mixture, ourselves. We cannot be mistaken.
It's me.
It is me.
It's me.
Forced to be the aggressor. Forced to be the oppressor. Forced to take it on the chin.
Forced to be the appeaser. Forced to be the pleaser. Lie down.
Stand up.
Give in. The roles are set. We dare not falter. The rules are there. We cannot alter. Children must be nourished.
Bread must be won.
Before our living has really begun.
She's my wife.
I'm not his mother.
She's my wife.
Where is my lover?
We said that we would love.
It's a joke.
What I wanted was a helpmate, not a yoke.
Are we forced to play these roles for life?
Husband.
And wife? I show my fear in the night.
My shaving mirror sees my fright.
He doesn't really see me.
She doesn't know who I am. Who am I? She doesn't know who I am.
Who am I?
She doesn't know who I am.
Who am I?
The voice of a fairground barker stops the couple dead.
Your lucky colour is blue. Your lucky number is 4. Your star is shooting high.
Yes, yes.
Tomorrow, a windfall.
A windfall? Did you hear that? A windfall?
Oh, what about me?
Keep fresh. Violets are blue.
What about the lonely nerves?
A windfall. Did you hear that? A windfall. My fortune was about to be revealed. Not snow crystals, in sight or dark psychic eyes. You know, Margaret, have I not laughed at dream fragments, splinter pictures, corner eyeshadows, flicker dark movies? Have I ever sat with you and compiled histories from down under the blankets? No, I'm a solid man, dealing with precariousness, Could I balance the books if I gave a definition to every little brain quirk? I'm working on the assumption that the system can be saved. 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 If I sell this one and buy another, the profits could pay for... If I ask the bank, and the bank allows it, I could hold out till the 6th. No, the 6th would be too late. The 5th. If I could stall the other owners...
Fetch the laundry, collect the children, dog to the vet, spring clean the bedroom, from the curtains, visit the hairdresser, phone my mother, feed the goldfish, remove the stains, clean the cupboards.
Black and white news film. A man is standing on the parapet of a skyscraper. He clutches the railings and looks down at the street. Spectators wait below. He hesitates, and then he jumps. His body hits the ground. Police rush forward.
I think you think a worm. That's a fly, mirror-crushed, blood-eagled, spread on an exaggerated pin could sweat out the issue. I think she thinks. She drips with pain. I think we must examine her again, I think. I think she thinks I think she'll die. That she'll ooze out perpetually on my sleeve, contriving to catch me in her bulbous eye. But I think she thinks that I think she cheats me, allowing her dainty, furry shiver leg to run down the glass and kiss me.
The group begin the song, So Wise, So Fair.
I see you in a far, far place, a million years, darling one. A sound in space, spinning on your lips, burning on a distant sun, limpid eyes, golden hair, so wise, so fair.
A million years to hold my darling. You'll never know the words I've said. Can I hold you, my beloved? You'll be born when I am dead. All the princes icy cold in the tomb of my despair. So wise, so fair.
You are drifting on a star, watching all my selfish pain. You are drifting on a star, loving me in vain. A million years and you'll be born wise and free and full of grace, without the need, without the want, with love reflected on your face.
So wise, so fair.
Perhaps you'd rather me be with someone else.
Another time, another place.
Another face.
Perhaps you'd rather sit here on your own, alone.
I'll go home.
Sit down. Stop expecting, stop demanding.
Don't forget your pill.
Stop insisting.
That I'm a person too, and not just you. Perhaps you just need me to fill in the space, because you doubt that you exist.
Must you persist, explaining every minute who I am? I'm just a man.
Perhaps you think I ought to like the fact you have to prove it 5 times a day with every whore you meet on the street.
We're in a public place. Don't make a scene.
If I want to scream, I'll scream. Ah! Don't forget your pill and ask him for the bill.
Perhaps you'd like to write me out a chart, to learn by heart, to learn by rote.
You're immature and cold and afraid of growing up.
Stop trying to tell me who I am. I'm just a man who'd like some peace.
A piece of what? A piece of skirt? A piece of cake? Without the fee that life demands?
Stop trying to tell me who I am. I'm just a man.
The woman gets up from the chair as though to leave, but the man stretches out his hand and halts her. He smiles at her lovingly and coaxes her down into his knee. He presses her head down onto his neck, stroking her hair and whispering words of comfort.
Suddenly, he grabs her and pulls her head round sharply to face the audience. Her face is wooden and smiling, eyes round and rolling, mouth a plastic, chattering slit. She is the ventriloquist's dummy.
Now, what were we learning about yesterday, Ethel?
I don't remember, Victor.
Yes, you do, Ethel. We were learning about femininity.
In.
Good. Now, what does the word femininity mean, Ethel?
A traitor, a sucker, a sap.
No, Ethel. Femininity means a femme du monde, a lady of charm. And what does a lady of charm do, Ethel?
Lie through her fucking teeth.
Victor turns Ethel over his knee and smacks her bottom. Then he sits her upright, recovers his composure, and begins again.
Now, you're a very naughty girl, Ethel, a very naughty girl.
Sorry, Victor.
And you haven't learned your lesson, Ethel.
No, Victor.
Never mind. I'm going to take you to a cocktail party.
Cocktail party?
Right. Now, you go to this cocktail party.
I'm going to a cocktail party?
Right. And you meet a man.
What kind of man, Victor?
Just a man.
Okay, don't be cross, Victor.
Now, where was I?
I was meeting this man.
Now, Ethel, listen carefully. This man puts his wet, greasy hand on your shoulder. What do you do?
Smack him in the kisser.
No, no, no.
Sorry, Victor. It's just hopped out.
Yes, but why was it a wrong answer?
I don't know, Victor.
Because if you insult this nice man, Ethel,
If I insult this man,
he'll lose his confidence.
and I'll fracture his ego.
And he won't be able to go out in the world.
And build a little house and where he can put his wet, greasy hands on me anytime he wishes.
The man throws a ventriloquist dummy into her chair, where she remains doll-like throughout the next act.
Well, my wife and her bloody knickers. And bloody hormones, fucking time of the month, bloody women drivers. Oh no, bloody women bosses. Well, bloody lesbians. My bloody mother-in-law and nagging bitches.
The man, very smooth, slow, insidious, with his hands outlines the shape of a voluptuous female body. He starts to undress its imaginary form. He plucks the nipples, squeezes the breasts, touches the cunt. He defines this creature as an object. The moment is reached when he is about to assault the figure he has created.
Well, all things aside, as I was saying, my wife, her bloody mother-in-law, their knickers, their tampax, their fucking tits.
He takes an imaginary knife from his pocket. He bends over this invented female body and begins to hack, as though he is dismembering it.
My mother, her breasts, and her cunt.
He hacks murderously with the imaginary knife.
My mother, my fucking mother. I'm cutting up my fucking mother.
He drops the knife from his hand and kneels, horrified by his efforts.
Mummy? Mummy? I love you, Mummy.
When you die, you'll be shit to fertilize plant life.
Tell me the struggle is over. That is all out of date. And that there isn't any hate.
I say it's a cauldron, bubbling, fuming, and waiting to spill.
She's got witchcraft in her thighs.
Witchcraft.
She's got witchcraft and a magic art, and they promise her that one day she will be released from the stone.
One day I'll have something of my own.
Meanwhile, goddess, pray. Meanwhile, goddess, pray. Watch the sailors on the ships and wear your garments non-existent.
Look into my eyes.
She cannot see. Her eyes are mare's eyes, and vixen's and cow's eyes.
My lover says, wait for the time I shall be released from the stone. And I'll be something to call my own.
The woman unbuttons her blouse. The woman becomes strident and fetishist and begins to strip. The man is still huddled on the floor, cursing her in soft whispers till he is silenced by her powers.
She has pearls of wisdom from the deep. A 6-star prism and a comb of molten gold. She has a toe that trembles to her touch. She has crystal baubles that can tell your fortune. And liquid lead running from her crutch. She has music, so whittle in the dark, it's heard only by the grey wolf on the hill. She's got poison to lace your drink at night. When she bends you over 4+ will. She's got honey to spread upon your bread. She's got waterfalls to trickle down your heart. So crunch, my love. Find all the bees are dead. She knew that you were dead. Right from the start. But in my sleep, I hear a voice groan. I hear a strangled fetus's voice groan.
She hears a strangled fetus voice groan. Nothing of your own.
Projection of a cathedral stained glass window, which falls from the back wall, covering the naked woman in its brilliant patterns.
She falls to her knees. The Furies rise as a derisive nightclub audience, booing and hissing. They move towards the back wall of the theatre, removing all their clothes, flinging them at the naked woman.
They move towards her and lift her, raising her knees into the birth position.
Agonized breathing from a woman in labour.
One by one, the Furies crawl through the hole, groaning and wailing as newborn babes, tumbling onto the floor in fetal positions.
Several of the Furies fall forward into the laps of the first row. They cling terrified to members of the audience, wailing and shrieking, "Mummy! Mummy! Mummy!"
You see, the individual may achieve a false fusion of the aggressive and the sexual by converting this aggression into masochism. But for this to occur, there must be a reliable persecutor, and a reliable persecutor is always a sadistic lover. A sadistic lover. Isn't it envy? Penis envy, the absent organ in the public lavatory.
Victim submits to the will of the others. Dreams are political. Handle on the bag is breaking. Last bone on the spine is aching. White walls, white chenille, pale wood and o'Donnell.
Projection of an enormous gas oven with an open door. Screams of babies are heard.
Thin walls, grey sky, a charcoal bird etched on the eye. Babies in his strip pine crib, dribbling on his plastic bib.
The latest film, stars back from Rome. I am in my little home.
There's a gas oven, Christian clean, brand X soap and spleen.
Listen to the gas escaping. Listen to the noise it's making.
Listen to the building rumbling. Listen to the foundations crumbling.
Projection changes to an open gas oven, now full of children's toys.
Faces flicker on the screen. They're analysing love. Another lady think, so neat about the feet, so reasonable with men, so personally dainty, self-controlled, leaning slightly forward, sure to please. Well, I suppose, she says, there's a slight hormonal trap. For us, a little capo smile hovers on her lips. I'm afraid you're right. Birth. Yes. Birth does separate us, I suppose inevitably, from total human dignity. How clever of you to see, I agree. I like to keep myself very clean. There's something disgusting about dribble, something vile like bile. Have you ever noticed dogs when they grow old? How they bumble and sway towards you? Well, my mother, it's my mother. My mother. What treatment can I have? What doctor exists that does not demand my submission as a price for peace? Who are you?
I am the cooler. I am the third part of the three-handed contrick. There is the softener, the taker, and me, the cooler. You have been taken, and I am here to see you don't bellyache to the authorities.
He takes her arm and mimes giving her an injection.
Relief floods through me as I allow his contempt. And we agree I am mentally unstable.
I am here to ease your pain.
The man sits on a chair and reads the Times. The Furies scream like hungry babies. Frantically, the woman mimes the heating and filling of feeding bottles. The noise of the screaming furies grows louder as they clamour for their feeds. The woman hands bottles around the yelling group, and as each one receives his feed, his screaming stops, replaced by the sound of sucking.
One little pink cup for me, and one little blue cup for him. 6 o'clock. The birds have flown. Lovers are quiet. The news is active and alive, even in war. My milk has dried. The teats are sour, and the screams are regular, 4 hourly on the hour. The oven's waiting for the cake. My head's still out. The young have promised me a tribe, an Indian house, and a coloured mat, and beads to hang on my breasts now that they're flat. Serenity. Traditional love.
And even peace of mind.
Prisons have to be inhabited by someone. Otherwise, why build them?
He takes her in his arms and they begin to waltz, the romantic couple.
So pity the poor lady, who from the age of 4 looked at the man with awe and trembled. Pity the poor lady, from the age of 3, perched there pretty on Papa's knee, looked into that hairy face and vowed, I must get one for me. Search for one who'd make her quiver, a master who'd dictate the terms, one who'd make her shiver. 'Cause he didn't like her hat, didn't like her chat, thought she said too much or too little. One that she could praise, concentrate her gaze through a foggy haze of non-committal, lovely moon, evening skies, and lies.
Find one that she could fear up to scratch, toe the line, and not make it too clear if she didn't like his touch, wouldn't be his crutch, thought his jokes too lewd or too simple, one that she could coax, one that she could hoax through those magic cloaks of little dimples, lovely moon, evening skies and lies.
Pity the poor lady, crazy with confusion, under the delusion she's been swindled. It's out of date to talk of rights. She's got the votes, who'd ask for more? She's got the key to her own front door. It's her domain to do the same day by day since time began. Praise the man and pity the poor lady.
The couple stop at the edge of the stage, a smiling young man, a grotesque old hag. The man touches the woman under her chin and then grins at the audience. He begins to laugh. The laughter grows till he convulses helplessly.
Rage is still within us. I'm frightened of the oncoming explosion.
Thank you.
Well done, everyone. Amazing. Thank you guys so much. That was brilliant. That felt like it went so quickly as well, didn't it? Went so fast. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. What we could do is we could just jump straight in, Alice, if you wanted to talk through with us just some thoughts that you had just while the play is fresh in our heads of because I know you had some sort of design ideas that we could share. It might be really cool for us all to see that if you guys want to. Obviously, if any of you guys are observing need to leave, and that's absolutely fine. But if you want to hang about, it would be really lovely. So if I make you co-host, Alice, what that might do is it might allow you to share screen. You're on mute, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I can share screen.
Great.
Cool, I'll do that now. Can everyone see that before I start?
Yeah.
So so for the design, because it was so poetic and so performative, I went for quite a stripped back design, almost like the space could be a community hall or a comedy studio, an art studio, like somewhere where spoken word would feel really comfortable and welcome. And because of Arden's films that she made with Jack Bond, I was really drawn to this black and white 1960s aesthetic. So I looked a lot at spotlights, especially because the play resulted in the Guardian piece and started conversations about more conversations about women's liberation that were still going on in the 60s, and also to infer that that's still relevant and needed now. So this is sort of this is my costume drawing for the woman. I wanted her to be pretty bold. It describes her having a velvet jacket, so I did keep that, and then just being pretty neutral but still having quite a presence on the stage. So this was looking at the projections are such a big part of the script. They were always being described, so I like the idea of having them on the back in this sort of frame that looks like a rounded 60s television screen, with these heavy dark curtains as kind of wings that really emulate that sort of old-fashioned theatre space, and creating more of a theatre out of it rather than it being all just a black box. And then this white painted circle on the stage that would really emphasize any spotlight that came down and was being used. By having the white and the light, it would just really encourage that kind of playing space, almost like an arena, because the actors are coming together and sort of, it does feel a bit like a gladiator fight at times. And then this was kind of inspired by this part of the script in the corner at the top. So the main bit would be the band, who, instead of, they were described as being in the front on the left, I've put them in their own little sort of hole, like an aperture, that the actors can also visit on a hidden platform and perform through as well, but just keeping that circle again, and like repetition. And then the man in his armchair is outside of this spotlight cone, and it's really, he has to move into the light, he has to invade the woman's space to be seen, and to be part of the show. It's her thing that he then takes control of and manipulates to himself. And the spotlight was also really inspired by the kind of vaudevillian moments, and the ventriloquist scene really struck me for that as well. So yeah, that's that. It's just a little taste of
Brilliant. Thanks, Alice. It's so brilliant to see something like that after you hear it when you've never seen the piece. I just think it really, really helps me to focus sort of the setting and things. So that's so lovely, and it's so nice to see an initial reaction to it from just reading it as well from a designer. I just think that's really brilliant. So thank you. That's awesome. Tracy and Paul, is there anything from you guys that, you know, before we let everyone go, and obviously we'll stick around, but if there's anything you want to say, or any of the actors or anyone wants to respond to Alice's beautiful ideas, please feel free to unmute and jump in. This is totally a time to do that.
The only thing I've got to say is, I think, you know, it's a really just a really challenging script. And, you know, we've read it sort of 4 or 5 times and only worked on it, like, we only worked on it as a group for 2 hours this morning. So it almost feels like we've met it for the first time, watching the actors do that reading and looking at the design. And it actually feels like, it feels tangible, and it feels really exciting, and it feels such an epic and overtly political, you know, performance. So I'm just really impressed by what everybody, you know, all of the actors and the designer, in terms of what they've managed in an incredibly short space of time, an incredibly challenging script. I'm just like, wow, okay. So it's like meeting, you know, the possibility of the performance for the first time, and that just feels really exciting, because I had no idea if it would work or not, really.
Yeah. I think there's just so many layers to it as well, because there's so many stage directions. Like, we had to just cut a few of the stage directions because it just became so complex that you kind of lost where you were. But there's so many that relate to projections, the music, the songs, you know, and jumping styles, that you just want to see it, you know. It's one of those you just want to see.
Yeah, I can imagine this would be such like an experience for all the senses when you went to see it, when it was an actual thing. You can imagine it's really like in your face, and there's loads of things to see, like you were saying, technical things, and so you can imagine, like, just hearing a reading of it is giving us such a small tiny scratch of it, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
But brilliant.
Is there anything from any of the actors or anybody watching that they'd like to comment or ask?
I kind of felt like reading it there with an audience, and like putting weight on certain moments in it. I realized for a play that was how many years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, like how like nothing's changed. Like, I really felt like this could have been written last week, and it's a bit, I found it feels quite timeless.
Yeah, it reminded me, when I started reading it, I was thinking about, did anyone see the Amelia?
Yeah.
Like, even that, I was thinking, oh my God, like, it's the same themes, you know, that are just repeated and repeated, you know. It's just really interesting. Yeah.
It really reminded me of, obviously this came after, so maybe it was a huge influence, I don't know, but of Revolt by Alice Birch. Revolt, she said, Revolt again. It just felt really like, you know, where it sort of like flips and changes, and it can be, there's like definitely standalone moments, and it feels completely bonkers at times. It really felt like that, like a really radical feminist piece as well, which is totally what you're on about, I guess, Ellen. Like, it's totally timeless. That was written how many, not that many years ago, and then this was 60, and they feel really similar, or very, very similar themes.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna I'm just gonna say, even though it's in it, I think, oh my God, Manon, you make such a good, like, the bit when you're being the ventriloquist dummy. Like, every time you did it, I get like a little bit of goosebumps. I was like, oh, it was so good. A little laugh. So I just had a little fangirl moment. Then I was like, that was so good.
Jen, were you gonna say something then as well? Oh, I can't hear you.
Good.
No, maybe put it in the chat. Yeah, or get earphones. Yeah. We're really good at miming now with Zoom. I know what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, go on, Boo.
Just while Jennifer's getting her headphones. Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I hadn't read the play, so I don't know how much the Furies actually like read stuff, like the stage directions in real life. But I just think, like, the way it was done, it ended up translating so well to a play that was read as well. Like, I was watching it on Zoom, and everything was so evocative because of that, and I think that's like obviously credit to how you've edited it and how you've like made it work. But it was just like this brilliant little concise thing that worked beautifully on Zoom as well as it probably would, you know, on stage. And also just about its relevance. Yeah, like I couldn't believe like how old it was. Like I googled at some point midway through and I was like, what? Especially this bit at the start when it talks about like the way Black people are treated. I think whenever you're looking at racial inequality in like writing from like 60 years ago, especially from a white writer, it can sometimes like it feels dated, but this just everything. And then obviously, you know, all the commentary on the feminisms and stuff, it was just like, oh my God, nothing has changed. It's really, yeah, it was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, everyone.
And Jennifer's just said, I'll just read it out, but it's just congratulations to everyone. I loved it, and it reminded me of Sarah Kane's Crave. So yeah, definitely. Cool. If anyone has anything more to say, please feel free, but if not, we'll let you guys go. Can I hang on to actors and creatives for just a few more minutes though? But yeah, thank you guys all so much for coming along. This feels like a short one, but actually like the most like, you know, like proper impactful. So I feel like I've been run over, but in a really good way. In a really good way. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And this is our last one now before Christmas, but we'll keep you posted on what we're doing, and there'll be many more in the new year. But I hope you all have a really, really beautiful, lovely Christmas. And thank you all so much for all your support and being brilliant. And yeah, just have a really lovely, lovely break, hopefully with family and friends and whoever you can. So loads of love to you all, and we'll see you all soon. And thanks for coming along.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, guys. I'm going to stop recording.